Hi all, this is Sander. I thought I'd hop on today to talk to you about some of the things that I learned when I was in the New Age. I was in the New Age technically from 1994 to 2002. Really from 1997 to 2002, but the first 3 years, 94 to 97, I kind of explored the New Age without getting involved. But I considered that my New Age period, 94 to 2002. So I'd like to talk to you about some of the things I learned when I was in it. So the first thing is prophecy, because I'm big on Christian prophecy, and when I was in the New Age, I was big on New Age prophecy. Because my theme should be inquiring minds want to know, and I like to know what's going to happen in the future, and that's why I watch lots of psychics and tarot readers on YouTube. And I'm becoming one. So one of the first things I learned from reading New Age prophecy was that buckle your seatbelts, because I learned that New Age prophecy and Christian prophecy actually dovetail. In certain parts, they dovetail. They agree. And I know there are Christians out there who won't believe me, but it's true. And I'll tell you where they dovetail. So where New Age and Christian prophecy agree is in the area of the Antichrist. Now, you Christians, I know you're going to have a hard time believing this. I had a hard time believing it when I first read New Age prophecy too. But in one of the books that I read, can't remember exactly. I read there were two books in particular that might have talked about it. One was a book by Chet B. Snow called Mass Dreams of the Future. And the other one was a Dolores Cannon book on the prophecies of Notre Dame. She wrote 3 books. It was a 3-parter. And it might have been in the first book, because I read that cover to cover. But anyways, what they said was that in the future, there will be an Antichrist. This is what New Agers say, not Christians. There will be an Antichrist, and that the psychic community will not like him. And that they said that the psychics will give the Antichrist a big headache. They will do whatever they do, psychic work, energy work, spell work, I don't know. They'll do something to give the Antichrist a big headache because they don't like him. And you would think, based on what evangelicals say in their churches, because they demonize New Agers and call them the villains, you would think that New Agers would love the Antichrist, but in fact, no, they won't. So that's one thing. So I did read the book by Chet B. Snow called Mass Dreams of the Future. And I learned a lot, including what's coming up for us in the near future, our near future, and what will be coming up for humanity in the far future, which does not look good. So there's that. Then I read Dolores Cannon's book on Notre Dame, and what Dolores Cannon did was she had somebody come in to be the subject, to be the channeler of Notre Dame, and I read the whole book, and personally, I didn't think it sounded like Nostradamus. I thought it sounded like a demon. I thought it sounded like an entity possessing this person speaking through them, but it didn't, to me, it just didn't sound like a guy from the 1500s. But he said some interesting things about Nostradamus's life, which were fascinating, which was that Nostradamus was a magician. He might have been Jewish in the time that he was alive, but he became a Catholic to protect himself and his family, and that secretly he was a magician. He had an upstairs room. He had a 2-story home, and he had an upstairs room where he did his magic and his psychic work, and nobody was allowed to come into that room but him. He wouldn't even allow his maid to come in. And that, what else? He was well respected in his town. He went to church every Sunday. He was a good, loyal Catholic, and but he just did his own thing on the side, basically. And that was what I learned from that. Also, if you're interested in New Age prophecy, to know what New Agers say about the future, I would recommend books by a guy named John Hogue, Hogue, and also by Greg Braden, Gregg Braden, Braden. Those guys are probably the best people to consult about what's going to happen in the future. I like John Hogue's books a lot. Greg Braden, he's okay. But John Hogue really goes into the far future in his books and predicts things that just blow your mind about humanity's future and Earth's future. Or he just predicts things that are off the charts wild. So I got into that when I was in the New Age prophecy. That was really interesting to me. Also, the second thing was a thing called the Akashic Temple. Now, in the psychic development class I took, we had a day where we did a meditation and we went to the Akashic Temple. And I went there and I spoke to a being. I don't know who it was. But then I saw what it looked like. They say, New Agers say there are 3 or 4 buildings at least in the Akashic Temple, that it's like a college campus. And there are different buildings for different purposes. So what happened was I did the meditation in the psychic class, and then afterwards I had dreams where I went there. And I went there at night in my dreams, and in one dream, I went into the library, what they call the library, and it was this beautiful old-fashioned library like you see in the pictures, with books from floor to ceiling, wrapped all the way around the room, and big long tables where people could sit and read the books. And in what New Agers say is, in the books are your life. So they say each person has a book, and you can go back, you can go through a book and you can read about your past lives. Some people say that they're more like picture books, where you can look and see what happened in your past life. And the current lives that we're living now are being written in these books, which will be shelved in the library. So I saw that, I saw the library, and then I had a really fun experience one night where in a dream, I went to the Akashic Temple, and how do I describe this? The Akashic Temple, the New Agers have this term called Merkabah, Merkabah, I think, or without the H, and Merkabah. And I believe that the Akashic Temple is shaped like a Merkabah. It's like a star. It's like a multi-pointed star. And the buildings, the campus and the buildings are within it. And so one night I was in one of the buildings. It was a classroom building. It was like a college classroom building. And for some reason, I was trying to climb up to the top of the star. I went past a classroom and I got up on this white structure, and I was trying to climb up to the top of the star, but I couldn't get there. So I came back down and I saw this classroom open. Actually, it was an auditorium. It was a big auditorium, like a college auditorium. And I saw this classroom and I saw people, I could see through the door. There were lots of people sitting there. It was jam-packed. There were people standing in the back, and they were listening to a lecture. And then they got out. The class was let out. And so I went in. I thought, oh, I'm going to go in and listen to a lecture. And so I went in and I sat down, and I'm not sure what happened. For some reason, I was trying to change when I got into my seat, I was trying to change my clothes. I was trying to take off the clothes I had and put on new clothes so I would fit in, maybe. And the teacher saw me, and she said, "Who are you?" And all of a sudden, I was thrown out. And what I learned later was that these New Agers, when they're sleeping, they go to the Akashic Temple for classes. And I don't know what you need to do to become a New Ager who is allowed to go to the classes, but obviously I wasn't invited. I was just an interloper wandering around the Akashic Temple, and I happened to see an auditorium full of students, and I walked in and thought I could sit there, and they wouldn't let me. So this is what New Agers do at night. They they go to the Akashic Temple, they go to these auditoriums, and they listen to lectures. They have classes. What the classes are about, I don't know, but I know from seeing online posts, they talk to each other and they talk about being in these classes up in the Akashic Temple. So it's a real thing. So that's one thing. The Akashic Temple. It has the books, it has the library, and it also has classrooms where people on Earth go at night to learn spiritual topics. I talked about the books. Okay, so here's a hot button topic. What I learned from being in the New Age is that New Agers, if you think that evangelicals are judgmental, you automatically assume that New Agers are not, that they are the opposite of an evangelical, that they are not judgmental, that they are free-willing, accept everything and everybody, everything, live and let live, it's okay, whatever you do, it's okay. You would think that, and I thought that, and I learned differently. I learned that New Agers are just as guilt-tripping as evangelicals. They're almost cut from the same cloth. They're very different in their beliefs, but they're cut from the same cloth. There are judgmental, what I learned is there are judgmental people in every religion. And that New Agers and evangelicals share this tendency to be very guilt-trippy. That's what I like to call it. Very guilt trippy. They love to put guilt trips on people. And they talk a lot about lessons. They say, oh yeah, we're here to learn, you're here to learn lessons. We're all here to learn lessons. They call this the Earth School. This is the school. And you're here to learn lessons. You're here to experience karma, and you're here to learn lessons. And the way that they guilt trip you is that they say, if something bad happens to you in life, they say, well, you contracted for that. You signed a contract before you were born saying that that would happen and that you would be okay with it. So they're just as bad as the evangelicals who talk to me about my being in a narcissistic, abusive family and saying, well, you just have to accept it. They're just as bad. So, and then I learned recently, because I like to watch videos on near-death experiences, I saw this video where a lady said that while she was having her NDE, she had this vision of up in heaven or space or wherever she went. She had a vision of God, the Christian God, standing at a table, this long table with papers on it. And with God was standing her parents. I'm not sure if it was her current parents or current, past, future parents. I assume it's her present, current parents. They were standing there with God at this table with all these papers, and she said they were planning my life. Yeah, they were planning her life. God and her parents were planning what her life would be like. Free choice? I don't think so. Yeah, so lessons? Yeah, more like punishments, I would say. Yeah, pre-planned punishment. So there was that. There was that. I learned about New Age lessons and New Age contracts that you signed a contract before you were born. This is what they tell people, that this would happen, and so you have to just muddle through. This is what evangelicals say. This is God's will, so you just have to muddle through it. And that's how they sound like each other. So there's that. So that's the New Age stuff. Chakras. I learned about chakras. Now, her name is Carolyn Mace. She's a very popular New Age teacher. She wrote the book on chakras, Anatomy of the Spirit. That was the first New Age book I ever read, was Anatomy of the Spirit, about chakras. And I bought it because it said New York Times bestseller on it. And it looked like a good book, so I bought it and learned about chakras for the first time. Now, if you don't know what chakras are, they're supposed to be the energy centers in your body, going from the top of your head all the way down to the bottom, almost to your feet. And you have 7 main chakras. And that's what she wrote about. Carolyn Mace wrote about in her book. If you want to look her up, her last name is spelled M-Y-S-S, but it is pronounced Mace. Excellent book. I mean, even if you have no intention of being a New Ager, it's still a good book to learn about these things. So, yeah, chakras, you have 7 main chakras, and then the Indians go even further and say you have 100 mini chakras, 1,000 mini chakras. The Hindus take it to an extreme. So, yeah, I learned about chakras, and I was going to, when I was in the New Age, I was going to try to balance my chakras because I thought I was out of balance, but I never got around to it. I was mainly looking for guidance, so I never got around to balancing my chakras. And I just kind of, when I left the New Age, I kind of left that behind as a New Age thing, like New Age only. But what I learned recently, you can learn a lot from videos on near-death experiences, is I learned that, and I sort of wrote off chakras too when I left the New Age as not being real. I thought, they're not real. And so I learned from this NDE video, near-death experience video, that somebody had a near-death experience, and they said that they were out of their body and they were able to look down on their body through their head. And what they saw were these concentric circles, and they were all different colors. And if you don't know, the New Agers assign different colors to the different chakras. I think the top ones are like white and purple and indigo, and then blue for the throat. They're pink and green for the heart, yellow for the sacral chakra, orange, yellow, and then orange, and then red. Those are the colors. And this person who had an NDE recently said that they looked down through their body from the top of their head and saw the chakras. They saw these concentric circles that kind of wrapped around each other, and they were all different colors. And that's when I went, oh, they are real. So they are real. We have these energy centers that are different colors. So the New Agers are right about that. What the New Agers are not right about is what to do with the chakras. That's where I disagree with them. I think you can cleanse your chakras, balance them maybe, but that's it. That's it. So anyways, chakras. Okay, so now I want to go on to my psychic abilities, or what I've learned are my psychic abilities. When I was in the New Age, I took what was it? It was an 11-week psychic development class at the New Age bookstore in Syracuse, New York. And there were 13 people at the beginning of the class. And by the end of the class, by the end of the 11 weeks, there were only 3 of us left. Everybody just peeled off. They just left. They didn't want to go through it, except for me and 2 others. So I went through the whole thing. Did okay. I did all right. I was better than I thought. I was better than I thought. And now that I look back on it, I was pretty good. And I got through it. And I learned some things. And what I learned was I'm very good at ESP. I'm good at remote viewing. I apparently I got to the Akashic temples, so I'm good at that type of stuff. Spirit travel, I guess. Meditating, visualizing. I'm good at all that stuff. Let's see. Oh, yes. And then I learned outside that class that I'm pretty good at a couple of other things. One is the Christians call this the gift of knowledge, the Holy Spirit gift of knowledge. New Agers call it claircognizance, but clear knowing. I had this experience where when I was living with my parents in the, late 90s, early 2000s, I had an experience where I would be in my bedroom, hanging out in my bedroom, and I would start thinking a certain person would come to mind. One of my mom's friends would come to mind a lot. She would come to my mind and like wouldn't leave, and I just kept thinking about her for some reason out of the blue. And then 20 minutes later, she would call. She'd call my mom just to talk. And that's called claircognizance, clear knowing. And I had that a lot, where I would know somebody was going to call before they called. So I have that. I also have, surprising to me, I also have the gift of telekinesis. I can move things with my mind. I've only done it once, but once was enough for me, because it was kind of strange, kind of wigged me out, let's say. I moved something with my mind, and it wigged me out. So I thought, okay, well, I have that ability. Moving on. So I can do that. And I also have done remote viewing. I've done it a few times online with other people. I've done it myself alone. Yeah, I don't know if I want to tell you that story. Yeah, I've seen things through my third eye. I've had my third eye opened sometimes, and I've seen various things. Let's see, what else? Also, in the New Age, there's this thing called consciousness. Oh yeah. Just want to mention, in the New Age, sorry, there's this thing called the higher self. I think it's from Theosophy. I think New Agers get it from this belief system called Theosophy, which it's not really my thing. I have some beliefs in common with them, but I'm not really a Theosophist. But they believe in this thing called the higher self. And at the time when I was in the New Age, I didn't really dig into it, didn't know what it was. They just said, it's this spirit or being that is above you, that is the best version of yourself. But lately, I've been getting to know my higher self a little bit, and figuring out that the higher self may actually be what Christians call the Holy Spirit. So it may be possible that when you become a born-again Christian and you are given the Holy Spirit, that is your higher self. And I had an experience recently with my higher self. This is very personal. I'd like to share it with you. One night I had a dream, and I was in the outer realms. I was up high above the earth in some spirit realm. And I saw my higher self. It was a female. I believe the Holy Spirit is a female entity. So anyways, I was going through some things here on earth, and thinking a lot about my grandparents, my mom's parents, and how I would have liked to spend more time with them. I actually would have liked to live with them instead of living with my own abusive parents, neglectful parents. My grandparents were very kind, very gentle people. And so in this dream, I saw my higher self, and she was in a room. She was in this room up in the ether, wherever, the spirit realm, wherever I was. And I was standing in front of this room, and the room had a veil over it. It was a white veil, but I could see through it a little bit. And I saw my higher self. She was sitting on a chair, and she was talking to my grandparents. Now, my grandparents had in their home, they had 2 easy chairs that they both sat in. He sat on one side, she sat on the other. That was the setup in their home. I remember it very clearly. And my grandparents, I could tell it was my grandparents because I could see a male figure with his legs sticking out from one chair and the female figure on the other side. So I knew it was my grandparents. I couldn't see their faces, just their legs. And she was talking to them. And I believe she was telling them about my mom's emotional abuse of me, which went on for 40 to 45 years. I believe she was telling them about that and about how my parents mistreated me in general. And after she finished telling them, all of a sudden, I felt this wave of sorrow. I felt this wave of sorrow come out from them, and it came out from them both, and it flowed out towards me, so I could feel it. I'm an empath, so I can feel these things. I felt their sorrow, I felt their disappointment, and then I felt them angry at my mom. And I felt like that was a special gift that my higher self gave to me, that she allowed me to know that she was going to tell my grandparents what happened so that somebody would know the truth. Because apparently people here on earth my family members still don't believe me that I was emotionally abused for 40 years. So she gave me that gift of telling my grandparents what happened and letting me feel what they were feeling. So that's the higher self. So I believe in a higher self. I don't know that that's a New Age concept. New Agers like to adopt other people's beliefs as their own. So anyways, there's that. And then they're big believers, New Agers, in consciousness. And I believe in consciousness, but not because of being a New Ager. I believe in consciousness because since I was a child, I have been doing what's called astral projection and astral travel. When I was young, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, maybe not 7, but when I was young, 5 or 6 were the big ages, I used to astral project every night while I was asleep. And I would go in my dreams, in my sleep, I would leave Earth. And I would go up above Earth and I would fly above what I think is stars. I can't tell. They were white to me. They looked white. It looked like a row of white thingies all clumped together. So it looked kind of like, if you look at a picture of the Earth in our galaxy, you notice our galaxy has arms that spiral around. We're in one of the outer arms of our galaxy. So I think that that's where I was. I was up above one of the arms of our galaxy. And I flew. I used to go up there every night and I used to fly. And I used to do the breaststroke, the B-stroke, to propel myself forward. I would do the B-stroke and I would fly up above this cluster of stars. I think they were stars. So I would do that a lot when I was 5 and 6 years old. And I would also, one night I had an experience where I astral projected out beyond our house. So I astral projected out into the street, not on the street, but but like out beyond the house looking at our street. That kind of stopped when I was young. I think school kind of knocked it out of me. But I would say the past maybe a year ago or so, a few months ago maybe, I started to astral project. Where was that? It was our old neighborhood in Syracuse. For some reason, I would astral project to that location in Syracuse, our old neighborhood, and I would walk down the sidewalk, one of the sidewalks in our neighborhood, and I would just go look around, look at the houses, how is everything, just kind of like doing night patrol type of thing. I don't know why I did it. I just did it. Just for the heck of it, I guess. So I have that ability. I don't know I haven't had lessons on it, so I don't know how to control it, when it happens. But it does happens. So I do have psychic abilities. I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, claircognizant. I've got the telekinesis, the astral projection, the remote viewing. I haven't done that much. So anyways, I just wanted to share with you some of my insights on the New Age movement, or things I learned, and my psychic abilities. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.